and welcome to the latest At Home with Backstage. In 2019, Backstage selected a team of curators who, under the mentorship of our artist in residence, Maisie, they set about programming an arts festival for young people that was due to take place this summer. Sadly, and for obvious reasons, that's not going to be happening now. But not to be deterred, they went back to the drawing board and pulled out all the stops to make sure that the young people of Longford, and now as it stands, even further afield, still have an arts festival that they can look forward to, created by young people for young people. So here to tell us all about what they've got lined up are our young curators, Emer Tyrrell, Daire O'Muiri Maria Knox. Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah.
Hello.
When it came to the point for Mona and Maisie to select their curators, it was brilliant to have the likes of yourselves, obviously Daire and Emer studying theatre in Trinity, and then Maria, you're based in Galway, so it was brilliant to have someone on the west of the country to be able to see. Galway is such a melting pot for theatre, so to be able to see shows and go to see shows and artists on that side of the country. But the year, I guess, involved seeing shows, going to schools, speaking to young people. Tell us a little bit about that.
We took loads of different pieces of theatre and that would be very different, and we just presented them all with a little bit of a blurb to all the students around Longford, and we just got them to fill out a survey then that showed which would be their preference and what they'd like to see brought to Longford.
So to just get their take on what they'd like to see. Brilliant.
Well, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but I think we found those surveys in the schools really, really informative, because obviously we'd had chats in a room on weekends home from college for a couple of months at that stage, and we've been putting together our own preferences, things we thought that had kind of affected us, or styles that had affected us, I suppose, in those age groups. But when we came out of the school surveys, stuff really jumped out to us, like some of the spoken word stuff, Ireland's Call, John Connors was another one, things that we weren't really that sure about, but we threw in kind of for good measure, and the response to them was huge. So I think it really changed what we ended up programming.
Which shows the importance of that research, because had you not done that, it could have taken a whole different vein, really.
Yeah, because that was one of the kind of goals, I'd say, from the outset, was that we wanted to bring young people who wouldn't necessarily have been introduced to theatre. They'd see theatre through a certain lens rather than what it can be. And I think that's what we wanted to do, is just to show them that, there's something within there for everyone.
So tell us a little bit about the workshops, guys.
Fighting Words, we're looking at establishing in Longford just before the lockdown, so it was really, really nice to get them involved in this project, and I suppose amalgamate it that way. So they're doing some really exciting things countrywide at the moment, did an Irish Times supplement recently, but we're running both a children's and teen workshop, where the group of 12 will have the opportunity to kind of build a story together. Obviously, with the children's workshop, that'll be more the facilitator and the typist and the illustrator will have a bigger influence. But with the teen workshop, that'll facilitate going away for a little while, coming up at the end of the story, and then the entire group feeding back together. So I think, even though originally that would have been in a physical format in the studio, perhaps at the theatre, it's really nice that now that it's done in the online sense, that people are literally in their bedroom writing stories, literally in their kitchen writing stories, and that gap in the middle kind of facilitates them literally to be in their own space, in their own world. So I suppose there's pros and cons to it all.
Daire, you had mentioned about reaching out to people who maybe haven't experienced theatre before. And I think sometimes there's this preconception of what theatre is, and that intimidation of maybe walking into a physical building. But this kind of dissipates now. Now it's Zoom, it's online, it's on your phone. So young people are kind of a lot more familiar with that, so it may be open.
Yeah, and it gives, like you said, it reaches it out to a wider audience that someone can happen to just come across a workshop on their phone, on social media, and they might decide, sure, I'm not at anything else. It's almost, we're still kind of achieving our same goal, but just in a completely different way, I suppose. You've
got a lot of spoken word involved as well. I know you've got Fionn Foley lined up.
Yeah, so when we were actually going out with the surveys, we had put Fionn's one-man show, which is Brendan and Galileo for Europe. We'd shown it as an example, as kind of that, almost like that kind of show in a bag kind of theatre. And we were just giving young people an idea of different forms of theatre, what it can be, and all this. And the feedback that we got back from that show was insane. Like, a lot of people just loved the comedy in it. So we emailed Fionn just to see if he'd be interested in bringing the actual show to Longford, and he was on board from the outset. And now, even then, he's on board to actually delivering it as a kind of almost like living room theatre piece, that it'll be shown online but still live, that it still has the same kind of, it's still theatre, but just in a different way. So we're delighted to have that. And then he's also on board to kind of delivering a few workshops in conjunction with the Attic, which is also great, just because to have a theatre practitioner, like a professional theatre practitioner, to come on board and actually show, again, young people who may not have experienced theatre before, but to give them the idea of what it can be, or just introduce them to it, that's all they need, is that little push to kind of just show them a new world or whatever.
And then Emer, you had mentioned John Connors there, the Ireland's Call. So tell us a little bit. I think you might have some news there with John Connors as well.
Yeah, so Ireland's Call was expected to go up in the Abbey just before lockdown. It was like a highly anticipated piece because it's bringing together, I suppose, a lot of different like social strata in Ireland and a lot of different issues that I suppose don't always make the main stage in the National Theatre. So it was obviously a big disappointment that didn't go ahead. But John Connors has agreed to put together a special, I suppose, showing of Ireland's Call for us for the purposes of this festival. So that will hopefully happen near the end of our festival, depending on the phases and restrictions.
As you said, there was a great reaction to that as well through your research. So brilliant to see that will be taken to the stage virtually. And then with Natalia O'Flaherty, Maria, a spoken word artist.
Yeah, that was the same with the surveys we handed out. We got a brilliant response to the spoken word artists, especially. We had Colin Keegan and Natalia O'Flaherty, and everyone seemed to take a real interest in them. And that was one of the most standout things, was the spoken word, because people they didn't know really about it before we had shown it around. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. She's going to record a piece for us.
I mean, it works out handy. Spoken word really lends itself excellently to this kind of format. I know there's nothing like the experience of the atmosphere of being in a space with a performer, but it sounds like this is really going to be incredible as well, and still reaching out, as you say, to all the young people. And then there's also Colin Keegan, you had mentioned there, Maria. Colin Keegan, people might remember, had written a piece for Daire Ireland recently, so his name is certainly hot at the moment.
He's another spoken word artist who did workshops before, and he sat down with a group of boys and he kind of talked to them about their experiences, and he actually wrote a piece about these boys going and having a fight, but they actually sorted it out through words instead of like having a physical fight. And that was one of the pieces we showed in the schools, and especially like Mel's, the college in Longford, had a great response to that one.
Which is a boys' school.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That'll be really exciting. And Colum's doing some workshops as well.
Yeah, so Colum is producing a series of 3 poems that are going to be read by locals who are involved in theatre in town of a teenage bracket. And then Colum's also the second week in June going to deliver a workshop for people interested in spoken word, kind of about it's called Word Surge, and he's kind of going to bring their ideas and their problems and their issues to the fore through the medium of spoken word. So as Maria was saying, reflective of the piece that was seen in schools.
There's always is something quite cathartic about writing and expressing your feelings through words. So I think it could really help now and really touch a lot of people who may not have had experience of it before. So it sounds fantastic. And then obviously there's elements for young people. You've got the fighting words for the kind of primary school kids. And then Marie Egan is also doing the dance workshops, which sounds like really good fun.
Marie has put together 2 pieces which are really exciting, really nice music and really good moves. So Marie studied dance herself, and she's going to present them as a 2-piece as part of the programme. And one of them is going to be more directed towards children and beginners, and the other is going to be slightly more advanced and perhaps teens. But I mean, if you're sitting at home and you're on your couch, I'm sure you can get up and bop along to any of them. So
it's nice to be able to start off with the beginners, and if you're feeling brave, then you can move on.
Absolutely.
The whole program, it sounds like there's so much work put into it, first of all, and then even more work put into it, kind of trying to change direction. It's curated by young people for young people. And I think what's really lovely too is that your logo was designed by Ciara Farrell, who's also a member of BYT. So it's a real team effort, and I think led fabulously by Maisie Lee, our artist in residence. I mean, she's brought a lot to it.
Yeah, hugely. Yeah. She's such a good support, and she's so in tune with what young people want, what young people are thinking.
So listen, so much to look forward to this summer with the Young Curators programme, all kicking off in June. All this is possible through the funding of the Arts Council, through Cruinnina No, Creative Ireland and Longford County Council. But none of it could be possible without you guys. And I know James Quinn was involved in the research element of too, so a big thanks
Yeah,
to
of course.
you
Yeah.
as well. So much work put in, and even more so kind of trying to scramble back to the drawing board and bring it all to life in a virtual format. We'll be putting up details as well, because there'll be call outs. Obviously the workshops will be limited, so it is important that people kind of act fast on that.
Yeah, I suppose just keep an eye on the social medias for everything coming up.
Well, so much to look forward to, guys. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy and your enthusiasm, and we look forward to seeing everything transpire over the coming weeks. Watch this space.